It's there on the kick ahead.
Chris Paul limping into the locker room.
Death, taxes, and Chris Paul getting injured in the playoffs. 3 things you can count on like clockwork. Now, folks, I am a Phoenix Suns fan since I was a little boy, and I think till the day I die. But I'll admit, as a younger fan, and just like many kids in my generation, we were fans of those Lob City Clipper teams that had Chris, Emmanuel, Paul. I was also anti-Warriors during their 2018 run, rooting for the Houston Rockets to beat them in their 7-game series. And as mentioned previously, a Phoenix Suns fan that watched my squad lose in the playoffs twice, in big part to CP dealing with lingering injuries. As one man once said,
"Because it's getting ridiculous."
Being someone whose team is suffering right now as we speak, I think it's time to take a deep dive into the absurd lack of luck Christopher Emmanuel Paul has suffered throughout his postseason lifetime, and what might be the best career decision for him and the Suns organization. But real quick, 619 the subscribe button, headbutt the like button for me, and turn on the post noties. We're staring right at the 400 sub mark, and I can almost taste the 500 subs, and oh boy, am I ready to eat. 2015. Jesus Christ, 8 years ago already. This time stuff isn't even real, is it? But anyway, Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, JJ Redick, Jamal Crawford, Matt Barnes, an absolutely stacked team for the time, and a serious contender in a relatively open West who's ready to snatch the championship they had been falling just short of in previous years. Finishing up the season with their second best win total in their franchise history with a 56-26 record to sit them comfortably in the 3rd seed, as they had lost a tiebreaker against the 2nd seeded Rockets, who sat right above them in the conference with the exact same record. This fact here is crucial, considering this was a difference between playing against the 7th seeded aging Dallas Mavericks starring Dirk Nowitzki or the 6th seeded defending champions San Antonio Spurs. And so they ended up going against the team from Texas, having themselves a grueling battle throughout the series and ending up in a Game 7 in LA, where CP3 showed us why he's an all-time great, giving San Antonio 27 points, 6 assists and 2 steals on 70% shooting from the field, hitting the heart-crushing game winner over a stretched-out Tim Duncan. With an erupting Staples Center screaming their hearts out in celebration, CP3 could only be so excited, knowing deep down that his hamstring muscles are barely being held together as he fought through a hammy injury throughout the last 3 quarters of the game. Reality seeped in, as Paul was forced to miss Game 1 of the next round against James Harden and Dwight Howard's Houston Rockets. But hope was there, as LA had given themselves a 3-1 lead thanks to big-time performances from Blake Griffin, JJ Redick, and DeAndre Jordan, dragging along a low-scoring, inefficient, injured CP. But in Doc Rivers fashion, the squad ended up blowing the 2-game lead they had given themselves, in big part to Chris Paul's lack of production that they had leaned on so heavily throughout the season, practically ending any more hope that LA had of being championship contenders. Because, spoiler alert, they weren't beating this other California team that was just getting their dynasty cracking. So next up, we have the Berserk 2016 NBA playoffs. Still with the Clippers, CP3 and his team knew the magnitude of what the playoffs could bring. Talks of breaking up the team had already come to light, especially with the dominance of the Golden State Warriors being so evident, just flat out scary. Coming out at the 4th seed in a fairly deep Western Conference, their first opponent was the 5th seeded Portland Trailblazers that featured a stud in Damian Lillard and the rising talent of CJ McCollum. A respectable group, most definitely, but a team that the Clippers were expected to take care of in 5 or 6. But this was absolutely not the case, as we did get to see Paul take over the first 2 games, showing once again that when he is out there on the floor, this team looks like a true competitor. But that's the thing, it's damn near fool's gold because he can't stay on the court. With Portland taking their W's in both home court games, right on cue, Chris Paul breaks his right hand forcing him to miss the last 2 games of the series, giving Portland a pass to the next round. On to one of my personal favorite and least favorite instances of CP almost getting his ring. Is that even right to say? That's messed up, right? Fast forward to 2018, where we see the league has been taken over by the villainous Golden State Warriors with Kevin Durant on the squad. With MVP candidate James Harden dropping 40 in his sleep, they added Chris Paul to the roster to give James some support with the ball handling duties. This is one of the most interesting teams ever constructed in my opinion, as they made it painfully clear that this roster was designed to take down the superstar-studded squad in the Golden State Warriors. Both teams took care of business in their first 2-round matchups, giving all the fans hope that this might finally be a team who could stand between the Warriors and another championship. And wouldn't you know, Harden and CP seem to have figured it out. After going down 2-1, they responded by rattling off 2 wins of their own, setting up a closeout game in the Bay Area until, yep, you guessed it, Chris Paul had another injury to not the left hamstring he hurt in 2015, but the right one, keeping him out of the last 2 games of the Western Conference Finals. Like I said at the top of the episode, like clockwork, Houston surprisingly almost had a chance of their own, especially in Game 7 where they were up 54-43 at the half, then decided to miss 27 3-pointers in a row. For some reason, and let me know if this is a hot take, but I just have a feeling you won't win many games doing that. After his carry job with the OKC Thunder in the bubble, the scorching hot up-and-coming 2020 to 2021 Phoenix Suns squad picked up the all-time point guard, giving them true aspirations to take over the league after a weird bubble year. Shocking everyone in the league, Chris Paul once again used his magic to boost up the regular season wins, increasing the total from last year by 17 wins. But when it came playoff time, and these results may shock you, he got hurt again. But this time it didn't keep him out of the games entirely, although an argument could be made that it probably should have. Injuring his shoulder in the first series of the playoffs against the Lakers, it seems CP3 wasn't himself post-injury. And sure, there were glimpses here and there of him being, the playmaking, mid-range shooting guy, but the handle was much more loose, and defenses were allowed to play differently on him, sagging and sagging and sagging. Phoenix did end up making the finals though, playing great team basketball throughout the playoffs, mind you, but we're fortunate to not have to match up against any A-tier point guards to lessen the load for Chris Paul. This is until Drew Holiday stepped in, getting killer performances from D-Book in the first 2 games to put the squad up 2-0. It was all downhill from there. Bad turnovers, no support by giving good passes, getting blown by you name it, things you shouldn't be doing as a point guard. And there's strong speculation it was due to wrist and finger injuries he had obtained throughout the playoffs. Another possibility for a ring, squandered in the blink of an eye. That takes me to today, where I, as a depressed Suns fan, still haven't processed the fact that Chris Paul really did hurt his groin. Why the hell did I expect anything different? I had absolutely zero reason to. I mean, considering he is 38 years old, happy late birthday, Chris Paul, just the other day. But damn it, what do you think, Dash and Hoopers? Would it be in the organization's best interest if he decided to go ahead and retire? Does he have the team's best interest? Should he have the team's best interest? Or go ahead and write out his contract and get his money? You've seen the State Farm commercials. He's obviously about his bag. But you let me know down below, ladies and gentlemen. And as always, y'all have a phenomenal rest of your day.